Hello and welcome to I Love Gay at Home, where today's episode, we're actually bringing you some pioneers in the LGBT marketplace. Scott Seitz and Jamie Baxter. How are you guys?
Good.
Very good, thanks, Matt.
And I'm going to point out before Scott says anything, he's gay. He's gamous. He's gamous. He's famous in our industry. He and his company. I like gamous. He and his company SPI Marketing were the team involved and kind of very instrumental in getting Absolute Vodka out there in the LGBT marketplace. So he's got an incredible history. And today they're going to talk to us about PrideLife, which is all about their initiative with the .gay and the .lgbt domains. So anyway, how are you guys?
Great, thank you. Enjoying a little peace and quiet. How about you?
We're all enjoying a little peace and quiet in a stressful way.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about PrideLife and what you guys are up to with this kind of new project.
Sure. And just to kind of get everybody in sync, PrideLife is a registrar, which is like GoDaddy, where you would go and purchase your domain name. So not everybody is fluid in this area, but if you have a small business or a blog or something like that, perhaps you've bought a domain name. We're the first domain registrar to have LGBT certification globally. So our mission really is to sort of take this to the next level, where we can advance diversity in the domain name ecosystem. There's a lot of people out there just trying to sell you something. We think there's a big value to sticking with you and growing what the domain services can provide to our clients.
Yeah. And you've been registering a number of companies, yes, with their .gay, .lgbt domains, or probably much more so on the .lgbt at this moment, I think.
Yeah, the .lgbt has been up and running for over a year, and there's close to 3,000, maybe a little more than that at this point, registrations there. I didn't check this morning, but and a lot of corporations have joined the fold there, so they can also have their IBM.lgbt or barefootbubbly.lgbt as an example. So it's been a lot of fun with that, and we recently started building that further with a lot of the work that Jamie's been spearheading around our social media engagement and just building the awareness for PrideLife.
Yeah, I know, Jamie. I saw a lot of that with your first work with IGLTA. You had partnered with them, I believe, on a lot of initiatives to help get the word out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the benefit here is about bringing more visibility to the diverse segments, and that is partly why our focus is initially on .lgbt and soon .gay as well, as it comes to public availability. And it's about promoting the visibility because it's such a global platform. It really is a great opportunity for the community to sort of to build in the legitimacy for the community globally as we're building in the visibility. But working with partners, because of our 10 years of experience working in this internet space, we've really built up a large group of networks that we've been able to tap into. And it made the most sense that we go to those networks when we started the PrideLife initiative, because we sort of have a solution that most of their customers or their members are looking for at some point in domain names. And so it's obviously, the connection is very simple there. A lot of them are LGBT organizations, gay owned and operated. So these domains, of course, make perfect sense for them.
Yeah, but for brands and destinations and so forth, this can also be, as you touched on, diversity and inclusion. This could be a huge part or a component of their diversity and inclusion initiatives as well, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that folks use domain names, but I think for these specific domain names, because they speak to diverse audiences, it really is a great opportunity for business, organizations, corporations, and brands to sort of reach out to this community base in a very unique way. Not only can the domain names be used to help create communication platforms more directly with those consumers, but it also gives them an opportunity and a place to promote their LGBTQ initiatives and their programs. It's a great platform for recruitment for corporations. It can also help be a place to share their corporate policies, and really sort of elevate the work that their employee resource groups may be doing in the community,
Yeah.
because a lot of those things probably already exist on many corporations' websites, but they're buried usually so far down in the website that it's difficult to access them. And this gives a direct doorway right to them.
Yeah.
Much easier.
Yeah, and I'd add to that the transparency gives you a lot more authenticity as well, because there's nothing more frustrating than spending 20 minutes digging through somebody's internet site for their HR policies, only to come up with a very vague reference back to LGBT perhaps. And that certainly improved massively over the years, but it's still an issue. So this is really a direct, simple, visible way to authentically just say, hey, we're here, and just click on this and we'll drive you right to the right place.
Yeah. Well, remember back in the day when it was the .com craze, and it was late 90s, early 2000s, it was all about, everybody was scrambling to get their best .com domain they could. But now with all these domains, .travel, .gay, .lgbt, sometimes it comes up, is there still relevance in today's world as there was back then when it comes to the website component, especially with social media and everything being such a big part of companies' outreach nowadays?
Yeah, I think the domain names certainly still hold tremendous value. A website is different than a domain name itself, but they usually go hand in hand. And a website is going to continue to be sort of the location of credibility for a business or an organization. It's really important to have an anchor online somewhere. And of course, social media can do that, and has been tremendous for those who didn't necessarily have the initial investments to get up and running with a domain name and producing a full-on website. But I think a website gives you a lot more credibility as a business, and it provides that anchor and legitimacy that you want as a business. But it's also, domain names are also much more, have much more universality. So you think about some of the social media platforms that we use here in North America, and they're not necessarily accessible in every country around the world. And so domain names generally are much more accessible. And so there's that element that is also going to continue to make domain names relevant. But I think one of the more important of the reasons why domain names continue to be relevant is because of the search value that they provide. The social media platforms and the apps don't necessarily give that benefit to the business or the organization, whereas it does with the domain name and the way that search works online. So those are three sort of really key important elements to why domain names will continue to hold value.
Yeah, no, Google indexes these websites very well, and that's I tell folks whenever they're looking at content creation or content as part of their marketing, it's the same thing. It's making sure that there's a written component that Google can index, because that could last for years for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Have you had to make adjustments over the last month when it comes to this pandemic and this quarantine and so forth?
Well, I think that the good news for us is regarding .lgbt and PrideLife and .gay now and going forward. There's a lot that we can do online, so being home is certainly less of an issue.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we also do a tremendous. Unfortunately and fortunately, we do such a tremendous amount of work with bars and clubs across the United States, and with a lot of the not-for-profits across the United States and globally. And so this is certainly a stressful time for all of them. It's given us a little bit of a breather to think about how we're going to reapproach and re-enter with bars and clubs as we all watch this evolve. And I think, part of what we're doing is outreaching some of those folks directly and finding out how they're doing, what their intentions are, and what are some smart ways for us to all come back online when that happens. So, we find ways, we're really maybe not generating the same kind of brand awareness work as much as we are generating a strategy for coming back on board.
And when we come back on board, typically you and I, in fact, we just saw each other at an NGLCC New York mixer. And I look forward to when we can go back to those things and be at David Buster's again and hang out and have a cocktail and do what we all do best, networking.
Sounds good to me.
Yes. Well, thanks so much for being here, you guys. I appreciate your time, and glad to be able to spend a few moments here with you on this this Monday. And look forward to chatting with you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
All right.
Have a
Take
good
care
one.
now.
Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye.